Isn't it interesting that when we see people with physical issues or other health problems, we obviously have an underlying sense of empathy and sympathy towards these people. But when it comes to a mental health issue like anxiety, we constantly beat ourselves up over it as if it is our fault, as if we made this issue. And I can talk with Byron McDonough here. Been reading Dare, the anxiety book on the new approach to really overcome anxiety and panic attacks. I just want to briefly read a bit of a chapter to you to really exemplify my point. So, people who suffer from anxiety tend to be incredibly hard on themselves. The longer the anxiety is present, the worse this gets. These people would not give themselves such a hard time if they have suffered from a physical malady like diabetes, but they sure do abuse themselves for having a mental health issue like anxiety. I think the reason for this is that part of them believes that it's their fault. It's a company. It is part of shame or feeling weak for being susceptible to fear and anxiety. Once this kind of negative self talk creeps in, it can lead to feelings of depression and loneliness. Patrick, who has been a great contributor to my coaching program, blah blah blah, blah. Yeah, different things he says in his book, but it really is true. Something that isn't actually of our own doing. It's simply a learned behavior, and to really think about if my mother, if my father, if a friend of mine, if a close person in my life was suffering from anxiety, would I be talking to them like the way I talk to myself about my anxiety? Would I be hard on them? Would I be harsh to them? Well, of course not. Well, I would approach them with an underlying sense of empathy and compassion. And yet, when we go to ourselves, we say, "Oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why am I susceptible to fear and anxiety?" And the really, this is one major thing I think that has really transformed my view of anxiety is because the first step to change is acceptance, accepting where you are. Yes, you may not like where you are, but it is where you are. I think the more you resent where you are right now, not sort of embodying the journey of what life is and of what progressing in life is, because anxiety is a real problem, as I've said in my last video, where we see people who have suffered with anxiety. I know a guy in my church, as I said in my last video, suffered from anxiety for 40 years, and it destroyed his life. And I can probably guarantee you that a lot of his issue was beating himself up over something that he didn't control. Um, at the end of the day, guys, it is truly how we respond to anxiety, to perceive negative emotions and outcomes. And it's sort of when you think about your anxious bodily sensations, when they come up, they go down on their own. But you responding to fear, to your anxious bodily sensations, the wave goes up, and then your fear that is added to the wave, just creates a colossal wave. And then you sort of convince yourself that you're dying, because a lot of people can get to that stage of panic attacks where they think they are convinced they are going to die because the fear is so strong. And after that panic attack, then they are not the same. They start avoiding things. They start avoiding certain situations. They start avoiding people. They start avoiding going outside their, sort of like their comfort zone, their comfort bubble, because they are not afraid of the supermarket, the car, the hairdressers. They are afraid of themselves. Will I panic? Will I collapse? What will I do in this situation? So it is recognizing we are not actually afraid of things, but we are afraid of our anxious bodily sensations. And once we learn to demystify anxiety in the way that we teach ourselves, okay, this is a nervous system that's been hypersensitive for a long time. This is not a mental, well, of course, obviously it's a mental health issue, but it's just, this is not a mental illness. This is a behavioral problem that can be corrected with the right information. And so, guys, hope you've. That's really all I've got to say, really. But it sort of bothers me deeply in a way that we see individuals, and I can personally relate to the, obviously to the fact that we are so hard on ourselves, and I think it definitely comes down to the issue of comparison. I don't know who said this. It's a quote from someone famous, but I don't know if you've ever heard of the expression, comparison is a thief of joy, and it truly is. when we see the society that's so fast paced, it never stops. It never stops. We see the news, TV, magazines, so many different things that are, there's just a constant stream of expectations that we feel we have to sort of abide by. And if we don't meet those expectations of society, we feel like an outcast, we feel like a failure. Well, that is one massive giant lie. Yeah, so that's how I feel, guys. But guys, if you relate to this video in any way, please comment, like, and share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Go get this book, man. Honestly, go get this book, whoever you are. This is a cracking book by Barry McDonough. Actually, it doesn't feel like a doctor talking to you. Get some of those antidepressants, don't you, bro? I gotta say, if you are on medication, that's completely down to you. My experience is doctors didn't actually listen to me; they just chucked antidepressants at me. But this is practical information. This is not coping strategies. This is not false hope. This is not medication that will just give you short-term relief but keep you stuck long-term. This is practical information that will help you get you unstuck forever. So, guys, God bless, and I'll see you guys in my next video.